Oh, good morning, dear friends. Welcome to this opportunity. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I
Good.
just like the last time, I don't see a specific Zoom link for the Uposatha program. I just clicked on the Tuesday evening talk one, so I hope other friends would do the same. Just wanted to say.
Yeah, thank you, Ruwanthi. We put out the notices to ask people to use this link this week because it's Tuesday today.
I see. Got it. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so hopefully people will know, and that will avoid any of the confusion that we had last week.
Hope so. Thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, welcome everybody to this opportunity to take the Refuges and Precepts. I just have someone in the room. I have to check with them something. We have our own session at 4:00 this afternoon, so we'll have a chance. Just letting one of the residents know that we do the Refuges and Precepts here at the monastery this afternoon. So yeah, this opportunity is for you all out there tuning in online. And of course, today's the new moon day, the Uposatha day. So for the monastics, it's a day when we all take precepts. We all reaffirm our precepts. And for the bhikkhunis and bhikkhus, we take chance to confess any misdemeanors that we think we may have committed. I mean, by misdemeanor, I mean any ways in which we've not managed to keep the Vinaya rules that we have. The bhikkhunis have 311 Vinaya rules. The bhikkhus have 277. And we just follow these guidelines from the Buddha, from the time of the Buddha. And so it's a chance for us to reflect on our Vinaya rules as well, to take the precepts together. And tomorrow we'll be reciting the Patimokkha, which is the rules that we have in Pali, and sometimes we recite them in English, so that we actually have a full understanding of these rules. We have them in both languages. Not everyone is a Pali scholar, although there's an encouragement for the monastics to learn Pali because so much richness, so much benefit can be had from studying the Pali language, the language of the scriptures in Buddhism, in Theravada Buddhism. Anyway, I'm rambling on. I think it's probably good if we sit for just a few minutes to give some time for anyone else who might like to be joining us to tune in. So how about we take 5 minutes to just arrive and make ourselves comfortable and settle into this shared space. So we'll sit together for 5, and then I'll let you know when it's time to begin the ceremony. So, dear friends, I think everyone has now arrived who's going to be here. Hopefully they found us okay. We can begin. I'd just like to say a few words before we begin the ceremony proper. In case it's not obvious, the Buddha's path, this path of practice, is a path of happiness. It's a path of well-being. It's a path of increasing peace and sense of really ground rock, solid happiness. And this is what we would expect to develop on the path. And so we can assess the situation, from time to time. Is there benefit here? Is there a noticeable kind of improvement in my sense of well-being here? And we can ask this question and we can see what comes for us as an answer. And it may be, yeah, I'm really noticing that this path of practice is giving me a sense of peace, a sense of relaxation, a sense of maybe a little bit of happiness. Even moments of joy seem to be more apparent to me. Or on the other hand, we might feel, well, no, actually, I'm not really noticing any great improvement. I'm noticing a lot more suffering. I'm more aware of suffering. and sorrow and distress, does that mean I'm practicing well or not? And it's just really good to check in, and to see whether, even if we don't have a sense of increasing well-being and happiness, perhaps because of situations that we find ourselves in, if you're living in a war zone, or if you're living in great deprivation in one way or another, or there's an abusive situation that's not resolved, we don't necessarily have a sense of well-being. But what we can notice is that even if the circumstances are not promoting happiness and well-being, nevertheless, within, is there a sense of a rightness to this practice? Is there a sense that there is a more resource here to handle the situation that I find myself in at this point? Is there a sense of having a kind of safety net in the heart or the mind? Or I actually feel, I have refuges. There is a sense of direction here. So we're not necessarily happy every single moment. We're not even seeking happiness, are we? In fact, we're seeking something more profound than that, which is liberation of the heart, liberation from suffering. So it's not really seeking happiness as much as stepping away from the causes of distress. But happiness is a sort of byproduct, but it's not a given right now. And so what else do we need to look out for? And we can question, is there a sense of essential okayness? Is there a sense of direction? Am I able to notice the benefit of living a wholesome life, keeping the 5 precepts? Is there a sense of self-respect that comes from this practice? Is there a sense of, just really knowing how to relate to the world? Does this feel good? Does this feel right? The Buddha was always inviting us to question, wasn't he? He said, don't believe anything you're told. Don't believe my teachings. Don't believe what you read in the scriptures just as an act of faith or blind devotion. No, put the teachings into practice and see how they can work for you. So we need to be assessing the situation and with wisdom, and keep checking, what is the value of this? Let's see with these precepts, is there a sense of rightness to them? And when I follow these precepts and I practice a degree of renunciation, in some cases we feel we're having to give something up, give up alcohol, say, or drugs, or give up certain ways of speaking, or give up certain kinds of behaviors. Is there a sense of well-being around this? Does it feel good? Does it nourish the heart? Is there more peace here as a result of living what the Buddha is telling us is a wholesome life, living a good life, keeping the 5 precepts? Well, today we have the opportunity to go a little bit further as well, which is to take up the more renunciant precepts, the 8 precepts involving simplification of our day, to put aside entertainment, to put aside beautification and adornment, to step away from the world of appearances and just let ourselves be, and to try to do nothing as much as possible. This is a monastic way of, we're really not trying to do anything. We're trying to allow ourselves to do nothing. And then just see, what good things may come up to be done, but we're not seeking activity. And this is a wonderful opportunity today to see. You may have things to do, no problem, but to try to minimize and have more time for meditation practice, sitting and walking, eating mindfully, just sitting, drinking a cup of tea, looking out of the window, relaxing. This is what renunciation of entertainment, beautification, and adornment allow us. And also to fast for half of the day, to be free from eating, digesting, and all that work of the body, to put that aside so that in the afternoon we don't need to eat anything else. We've had enough already. We can eat what we need in the morning, not to overdo it either, just to eat a normal amount and to allow ourselves to experience hunger without it being a problem, knowing that we'll eat the next day, and to just make the space instead of cooking and catering. We can be free from that, at least maybe. Some of you may have to cook for others. How noble that is. If you are cooking for others but not eating yourself, you can enjoy that. Renunciation right there. But otherwise, to have more time for practice. So today we can take this opportunity to live a slightly more renunciant life for a day, to celebrate the new moon day, the cycles that we're tuning into here, and to give more time for simply being present, being mindful, developing our practice in this way. So I'm going to actually open up the view and just invite if anyone has any questions before we begin. We have the script, as it were. We have the script coming up on the screen that we can follow for this ceremony. Everyone okay to begin?
I'm sorry, I don't see the script.
No, I'm going to put it up in a mo. Sorry, when I say we have it, I mean I have it, but I haven't put it up yet. Sorry, slightly imprecise speech there. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put the script up. And at the beginning, there is this opportunity for people to request the refuges and precepts. And I'm going to invite Ruanthi, because I know you know this very well, to be kind enough to unmute yourself and perhaps lead the group. And if you'd like to unmute, you're welcome to do that, or to stay muted, whatever's comfortable for the rest of you. So here we go. Allow me now to share the screen. Let's see if I can find the script. Here we go. Okay, so here we have, we're going to do English and Pali. Let's really take our time and really allow ourselves to enter into the meaning and significance of this ceremony. So we'll use Pali and we'll also use English. And so I'd like to invite you, dear Ruanthi, just whenever you're ready, and just to tell the rest of you, we start with 3 bows to the Buddha. So just following Ruanthi's lead.
Ahamaye Isaranena Saha Attasilani Yachami Dutiyampi Ahamaye Isaranena Saha Attasilani Yachami Tatiyampi ahamaye isaranina saha attasilani yajami. Venerable I request the 3 refugees and the 8 precepts. A second time, Venerable, I request the 3 refugees and the 8 precepts. A third time, Venerable, I request the 3 refugees and the 8 precepts.
Oh, dear. So, dear friends, I'm going to begin. I'll be chanting 3 times, and then I'd like you to repeat 3 times after me. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
So now we're going to be going line by line, repeating after me the refuges. Buddhang saranam gacchami.
Buddhang saranam gacchami.
To the Buddha I go for refuge.
To the Buddha I go for refuge.
Dhammang saranam gacchami.
Dhammang saranam gacchami.
To the Dhamma I go for refuge.
To the Dhamma I go for refuge.
Sanghang saranam gacchami.
Sanghang saranam gacchami.
To the Sangha I go for refuge.
To the Sangha I go for refuge.
Dutiyampi Buddhang saranam gacchami.
Dutiyampi Buddhang saranam gacchami.
For the second time to the Buddha I go for refuge.
For the second time to the Buddha I go for refuge.
Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
For the second time to the Dhamma I go for refuge.
For the second time to the Dhamma I go for refuge.
Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
For the second time to the Sangha I go for refuge.
For the second time to the Sangha I go for refuge.
Tatyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
For the third time to the Buddha I go for refuge.
For the third time to the Buddha I go for refuge.
Tatyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
For the third time to the Dhamma I go for refuge.
For the third time to the Dhamma I go for refuge.
Tatyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
For the third time to the Sangha I go for refuge.
For the third time to the Sangha I go for refuge.
Tisaranagamana nititang. This completes the going for the 3 refuges.
Aye. Yes, Venerable.
So now we'll go line by line, Pali and English, taking the 8 precepts. Repeating after me. Panatipata veramaniya sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Panatipata viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from taking the life of any living creature.
I undertake the precept to refrain from taking the life of any living creature.
Adinadana veramaniya sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Adinadana viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from taking that which is not given.
I undertake the precept to refrain from taking that which is not given.
Abrahmacharya Veramaniya Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
Abrahmacharya Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from any kind of sexual activity.
I undertake the precept to refrain from any kind of sexual activity.
Musawata Veramaniya Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
Musawada Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from false and harmful speech.
I undertake the precept to refrain from false and harmful speech.
Sura Miraya Majjapamadhatana Veramaniya Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
Sura Miraya Majjapamadhatana Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from consuming intoxicating drink and drugs which lead to heedlessness.
I undertake the precept to refrain from consuming intoxicating drink and drugs which lead to heedlessness.
Vikala Bhojana Veramaniya Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
Vikala Bhojana Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from eating at inappropriate times.
I undertake the precept to refrain from eating at inappropriate times.
Nacha Gita Wadita Visukadasana Mala Ganda Vilepana Dharana Mandana Vibhusanatana Veramaniya Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
Nachakita Vadita Visukadasana Mala Khanda Vilepana Dharana Mandana Vibhusanatana Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from entertainment, beautification, and adornment.
I undertake the precept to refrain from entertainment, beautification, and adornment.
Ucha Sayana Mahasayana Veramaniya Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
Uchasayana Mahasayana Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from lying on a high or luxurious sleeping place.
I undertake the precept to refrain from lying on a high or luxurious sleeping place.
Imani Atta Sikkhapadani Samadhiyami.
Imani Atta Sikkhapadani samadhiyami. Imani atta sikkhapadani samadhiyami. Imani atta sikkhapadani samadhiyami. I undertake these 8 precepts. I undertake these 8 precepts. I undertake these 8 precepts.
Imani atta sikkhapadani silena sugatinyanti silena bhoga sampada silena niputinyanti tasma silam visodaye. These are the 8 precepts. Virtue is the source of happiness. Virtue is the source of true wealth. Virtue is the source of peacefulness. Therefore, let virtue be purified.
Sadhu aye.
So wonderful, dear friends. We can feel the glow in the heart, or whatever you feel, having participated so actively and fully in this ceremony. Reaffirmation, recommitting to our precepts. The Buddha, encourages this kind of beginner's mind, I feel, in our practice, a certain humility, a certain sense of maybe we don't fully understand the path yet, but we're doing our best. And the same with the precepts. Maybe we're not completely, fully integrating these precepts in our lives. The 5, particularly, I'm talking about the first 5 precepts, but we are giving our very best energy to this endeavor. And we can certainly notice, can't we, when the precepts are not being kept, we notice, we feel, and we want to look at that. If I say something unskillful or somebody is offended by something I say, even if my intention wasn't to offend, I can just look at that. Is that something I need to reflect upon? Is there anything I can consider that I might learn from this situation? Sometimes people are very easily offended, but nevertheless, it's very good for us to, isn't it, reflect on any effect, any harm that's felt around us that may relate to our behavior in any way whatsoever. Let's be very awake to this. And as the Buddha said, there's a number of verses in the Dhammapada around, even when others around us are not being completely honest necessarily all the time, or not being completely skillful, nevertheless, the important thing is for us to maintain a very high level of integrity, moral purity. We can do this. And sometimes it's difficult. And then we can look at that. And sometimes we might find ourselves in situations where it's really hard to maintain a good sense of keeping the precepts very purely. Well, over time, if we reflect on these matters, we may find ourselves moving away from certain situations and towards other kinds of situations. So these precepts are not something to make into a means of feeling guilty or feeling badly about ourselves or our behavior. It's more like, how do I refine? How can I refine here? How can I investigate the Dharma in relation to Sila, in relation to virtue? And so it's a very rich field, isn't it? And so alive for us. This guidance, living our lives, being guided by the precepts. Just to mention, while we're on the 8 precepts today, the wonderful additional opportunities here. Let's remember that the precepts we've just taken include, we're saying we're refraining from singing, we're refraining from dancing, We're refraining from playing musical instruments. So any kinds of, nothing, we're not saying these things are wrong. It's just, we're not doing that today. We're going to refrain from all of these things. If any of you are musicians, it's just, we'll put the instruments aside for today. We'll turn the radio off for today. We won't be listening to music. We won't be making music. We won't be dancing in the kitchen with the radio today. And, it's very good to kind of allow the mind to incline towards more silence. The beauty of silence, the beauty of the sounds of nature when we're not adding anything in, and the beauty of restraint and renunciation in whatever ways that may be for us today, whether your inclination is to watch a bit of TV or your inclination is to go watch a movie or to play an instrument, just to see whatever our inclinations in this way, just to feel what we're giving up and to notice the effect of that. And renunciation is interesting because it can pinch a bit, can't it? We can feel sometimes a lack when we change our habits, but it gives this opening, doesn't it? This opportunity to do something different, or to rather not do, but to experience something different. And all of the precepts, including all our monastic precepts, are really pointing essentially to a simplification, to making more time, having more space, doing less, and appreciating the benefit of this. And the other thing to mention, of course, is the different third precept. When we take the 8 precepts, of course, in the 5 precepts, we are determining to not use our sexual energies in any kind of an unskillful way. Wonderful. Not to harm or hurt or disrespect others in any way whatsoever in this aspect of our lives. When we take the 8 precepts, of course, we're refraining from any kind of sexual activity whatsoever. And this is a very wonderful, again, opportunity to cool down, to notice sexual energy more fully, more completely, begin to understand it, and to be renouncing, letting go. And, see what happens to these energies if they should arise for us. The celibacy is an incredible gift. If we are able to let go of manifesting sexual energy, we can see that this is really life energy. This is vitality. And if we're not acting on sexual energy, we're just really basically storing up. It's like a battery that you're just not using. And there it is. This energy is available for us. So these are just some reflections on celibacy. For a day, it's very good to see. It may not be an issue at all. But if there is any sexual energy that arises, then we can meditate on that. And this is a really great opportunity for us to put all of that aside. We can do that for a day. We can do this, of course, once a week or once a fortnight, or we can go on retreat, or we can go to the monasteries and we can do this for longer. Recommend practicing the renunciant precepts as much as we can, for as long as we can, and to see, again, testing and checking and seeing what is the benefit here? Is there a benefit? How is this affecting the mind? How is this affecting the heart? So these are just a few reflections on the 8 precepts. I'd like to say goodbye to those on the live stream.